Hello, guys. Welcome to my channel today on project management, and this is Project Management Knowledge Arena. And my name is Uchenna Michael Abali. And before we progress today, I would like to use this time and opportunity to acknowledge those who are joining us for the very first time in this channel. Could be that you want to write your PMP exam and you've been trying to figure out a way to actually write this once and make it just in one sitting. I think this is the right place for you, because here I dish out all the advice that you need for to be able to kind of face your PMP exam and come out successfully. So if you are joining us for the first time, it's the right place, and I want to welcome you. And also, possibly you are a practicing professional, it's also a right place for you to come and learn the skills and strategies you need to that are necessary for you to practice effectively in your area of practice. Meanwhile, I wanted to just get ready, because we've been looking at a bunch of topics in project management. As a matter of fact, we're considering a series right now. We've been going through various series in the predictive project management methodology, and today we are going to be looking at, I don't want to tell you what we're going to be looking at today. In the last lesson, I treated the project schedule management, and today we're going to be looking at something very special. So if you want to know what it is, just join me as we delve into the topic today. See you just in a minute. Thank you. All right, welcome back to Project Management Knowledge Arena today, and welcome back also to my channel. Yes, it's so pleased to have you here today. Yes, so I'll just we're going to begin immediately. We have a very important topic to consider today in our Project Management Knowledge Arena, and today we're going to be we're going to consider the project costs management. All right, we're going to look at the project cost management. That is what we're going to be considering today, the project cost management. Once again, my name is Uchenna Michael Abali. You've been following this channel, and it's been very educative and instructive and very beneficial to you. I would advise that you hit the like button, you subscribe also, and drop your comments. Let me know where you have challenges in project management, anywhere you have challenges in project management, and I should be able to address that, as soon as possible. Yes. So quickly, we're going to look at the topic today at hand, and like I say, project cost management. Now, first, an introduction to project cost management. All right. And before I say much, I just want you to know that project cost management is a very important aspect of project management, because it's beneficial to people who want to kind of engage in very large scale projects, and also to individuals who have a kind of low scale project, or smaller projects they want to handle, and that cost is involved because you are investing money. And since you're investing money, you want to be very careful to make sure that it doesn't sink, meaning that you don't invest and then not get your gain. You want to make sure that there is profitability in your investments, and that is what I'm trying to say. And that is the essence of managing your costs in a project. So there are a lot of things. It's not just managing it. In managing a cost, it involves a lot of processes that we need to go through to make sure that we are effectively managing our costs. So the project cost management involves the planning, meaning you have to plan first. You have to estimate what is required for you to a kind of effectively execute this project. Then eventually you have to draw your budgets, and then financing. How do I get the money to finance my project, and the funding of the project as well? Then managing and controlling of the cost to achieve the project objectives within the approved budget. So it's an integral part of the project management process, and it's ensure that financial resources are allocated wisely and then also utilized efficiently. That's the essence of project cost management. So we're going to look at the key factors today to be considered. Well, basically, if you've been following the PMP guide, there are some things you're going to see, key principles. You're going to see like the first 4 points you're seeing there: the project cost estimation, the project cost budgeting, the project cost control. All right, these are the key principles. Then also you talk about the end value management. The end value management is a control methodology that will help you, kind of check the performance of the project against the planned cost for the project. Then, as an addition today, we're going to look at best practices for effective project cost management and also, of course, benefits of project cost management. So please pay attention. Possibly if you need to write down something, you can do that, or possibly after the video, you still need to go over it over and over again to understand this principle. But also I want to advise that, there are more details to this video. So it's very important. For instance, if you want to write your PMP exam, it's very important that you take this. This will give you a background knowledge as to what you should expect in your exams. So after that, it's expected that you go back, pick up the PMP guides, and with the knowledge of this video, it will be very easy for you to breeze over everything in the PMP guide. And also pick up you have the PMP guide 6th edition and the 7th edition. After this, what I'm treating now is the 6th edition, and after this, I'm going to go over to the 7th edition, because as much as possible, I want to give you all that is necessary for you to pass your PMP exam. Yes. So also, benefits of project cost management, we're going to look at all that. So to start off with today, the first we're going to look at is the project cost estimation. The project cost estimation. So this involves, you developing an approximation of the monetary resources required for project activities and deliverables. So I believe if I mention activities now, you should be able to understand. I think you should be able to think back to our work breakdown structure, and remember that projects are broken down into work packages, and work packages are broken down into activities. All right, so the activities are the tiniest executable elements of the project. So now you start from the activity level. We want to know approximately what would it cost you to, a kind of execute a project. And also, we have so many techniques we can use, techniques such as the analogous estimating. We have techniques such as the parametric estimating and also bottom-up estimating. These are used to determine costs. All right, so you want to use the analogous estimating, where you're making reference to, 2 things. All right, you have a project and you want to make reference to a past project. All right, you want to make reference to a past project, or you want to make reference to something similar to the project you're carrying out, and you want to know what it costs then to actually execute that. So that is analogous estimating. And also the parametric estimating means from the word parameter, it means that you're looking at the parameters involved in the project. Okay, so based on parameters, you're carrying out your calculation. Parameters are actually global standard units. Okay, global units you can actually use or universal units you can use to carry out calculations to be able to arrive at an expected value. So that is what the parameter is. So when you talk about parametric estimation, you are estimating based on known standards and parameters, and that should help you to be able to kind of make a final judgment over whatever decision you want to take, or in this case, the cost of the project. Then also you have the bottom-up estimating, like I just rightly mentioned just a few seconds ago, that the project is broken down into various levels. If you have not forgotten the work breakdown structure, it's broken down from the projects. You have the work packages, then you have the activities. Okay, so in the bottom-up estimating, you're coming from the activity level. You are calculating every single activity in the project. You are, carrying out the estimation from the activity level. You are aggregating all the estimated values for the activities, and then you're rolling it up to the, to the work package level. Then from the work package level, you're rolling it up to the project level. So at the end of it, you're having a whole sum of, that will tell you, or that will give you an idea of what the estimate or cost of that project is. So that is bottom-up strategy. Yes. So now, the diagram here before us is just a little explanation of what project cost management is all about. All right. So down below this diagram, you're going to see the yellow field where we have the cost estimating or cost budgeting, and then we have the cost control. All right. So we want to find the cost. The first thing we do is to do a cost estimate, meaning that is going to be at the planning stage of the project where you sit down and you're asking yourself questions. You want to find out what it costs you to be able to execute this project. You want to know the cost implication. And because of that, you are applying the method we just talked about. We talked about the parametric, we talked about the analogous estimation, we talked about the bottom-up methodology. You are putting all that into consideration. You want to know what it's going to cost you. At the end of it, you're coming up with a figure. Possibly, you're saying that, okay, for me to construct this football field, it's going to cost me $1 million. Based on the parameters or the methodologies or the strategies we have actually discussed just a few minutes ago, where you are coming to a conclusion that, okay, this football field is going to cost me about $1 million. Then you have actually created a blueprint or a work plan based on what you have at hand. Then from there, you're going to go into the execution phase of the project. Now, while you have the planning process, you can see our normal process there. You have the planning process, the initiation process, the closing process, and the executing process. So while at the planning process, you are coming up with the cost estimating. You are estimating at the planning process. They're at the control level while the project is in progress. Okay, in progression, you want to make sure that you are checking, the projects, or you're monitoring the projects, okay, at intervals to know if the performance of the project is in agreement with the projection you have made. All right, that is what's called a cost control. So if it is not, if there is a little deviation, all right, from the projection you have made, definitely you need to take an action immediately. So it's very important. You don't wait for the project to come to an end before you start checking your costs, the performance of the cost. So it's important that, within the shortest time in the project, at intervals, very close intervals, you should be able to kind of evaluate your project, monitor your project, control, and make sure that the project progresses in line with the projections you have made. Yes, so that is what project cost management is. And this is very important in business. This is very important in the banking system. It's very important in the IT industry. Maybe you have IT projects going on and you have actually mapped out funds for the IT project. You want to make sure that everything is going in line with the plans you've made. Right? It's very important for family people. Maybe you have your family, you're making plans for the month. These are your expenses for the month. You want to monitor your expenses and make sure that you keep everything in check. All right, it's very important for very large projects as well. So this project cost management is very important for everyone. So that is just there. Now, project cost budgeting. All right. So project cost budgeting, after estimating costs, meaning you have looked at it at the activity level, they need to be allocated to individual tasks or work packages to create a budget. All right, to create a budget. So the project budget includes both direct costs, material or labor costs, and indirect costs, overhead costs, that's administrative costs, and supervision costs or whatsoever. So overhead costs and supervision costs. All right, so the project budget includes both direct costs, everything, all the costs, everything is going to cost you, direct or indirect cost. All right, so I believe by the time you go through your pinball guide and the rest, it's going to explain more in detail about the direct cost and the indirect cost. The direct cost is actually what it costs you, okay, to execute the project directly. The indirect cost is actually the cost that is not really a kind of fully concerned with the project, but it's a kind of a running cost. For instance, you have an office, possibly you're sharing an office for 2 projects, and then you have to pay the NEPA bill, you have to pay these utility bills and all that. These are indirect costs, right? Indirect cost. And then also you have the medical cost and all that. So that is not really being pumped into the project, but it's actually cost resulting indirectly because due to the performance of the project. All right, so these are indirect costs. Okay, so you have to put all that into consideration while planning for your project. This is a very good example, okay, of project cost management and budgeting. All right, so the table we have here, or the diagram we have here, is telling us the different level of a kind of estimation. All right. So if you look at it very well, going to the right, you're going to see activity. You're going to see activity cost estimate in the blue bar. All right. You're going to see the activity cost estimate. Then right above the activity cost estimate, you're going to see the activity contingency reserve. All right. So it's very important because very soon we're going to look at the risk management, project risk management. Okay. So by the time we get to the risk management, you're going to understand that while you're planning for your project, you're going to plan for the risk involvement in the project. For instance, if you are to build a house and then it so happens that you're building in an erosive terrain, all right, an area that is prone to erosion, you're going to look at the effects, a possible effect of the erosion, all right, on your project, all right. So, and then you're going to plan for it. You're going to say, okay, if this happens, it happens that erosion, affects my foundation or it affects my construction, right? So I should be able to make a plan to take care of that. So the plan I'm making, or the money I'm budgeting to take care of that unforeseen, I know it may happen, and I'm planning to take care of that. Okay, so the money I'm setting apart is what we call the contingency reserve. Okay, so you have to plan for your contingency. So that is at the activity level, right? So the activity is actually at the lowest level. From the activity, you go up to the work package level. The work package is actually the combination of one or more activities that are directly related and can be managed together. Okay, so now from the work package, from the activity level, you're rolling it up to the work package level. Then over above the bar for the work package level, you're going to see the contingency reserve. Now that simply means that, let me go back to the first one. The first one is the activity contingency reserve. That is individual activities. So many activities happening in the project, you have to calculate their contingency separately. All right. So once you're done with that, you're going to roll it up to the next level, which is the work package level. At the work package level, you're not going to aggregate all the contingency you have calculated across all the activities and also across all the work package. You're going to aggregate everything, add it up together to give you the contingency reserve. All right. Then also the work package cost estimate gives you the aggregation of all the activities, work activities at the activity level, all the aggregation. When it comes together, you add them all together, it gives you the cost estimate for the work package. And then you roll it up again also. All right, that's going to give you the control accounts. Okay, so there should be a control account where you know that, okay, this particular financial or budget, okay, that have been set apart is for this particular, aspect of the project. You're going to set that apart. So you have the control account. Then after at the control account, you're going to add what we call the management reserve. By the time you add what we call the management reserve, you're going to have finally what we call the project budget. I am going to explain what the management reserve is all about. The management reserve is a contingency reserve. All right. And it's kind of, okay, let me say it's kind of a contingency reserve. But in risk management, there are what we call unforeseen circumstances in projects. And there are some unforeseen circumstances that are predictable. They are predictable. You can actually tell, like I gave an example with the area that is prone to erosion. That is predictable. You are an engineer on the site or anywhere, you know that possibly this may come up. Because of this, you are planning ahead in case it happens. You'll be able to take care of that comfortably without having any issues in the project. So we call that the known unknown. Right? The known unknown, because you know it's going to happen. So that is not part of the management reserve. That falls under the contingency reserve. But there's what we call the unknown in a project. All right, there are things that can happen in a project that are not known to you. All right, they are not known to you. So when you're making a cost estimation, you have to consider the unknown unknowns. All right, so you're kind of say, okay, I don't know what might happen in the course of my execution of this project, but I want to map out an extra, 7% of the total contract sum. And in project management, the management reserve is not under the control of the project manager. The project manager has no rights under any circumstance, okay, to use the money or the budget that we mapped out for the management reserve as management reserve. And also know that possibly at the end of the project, you may not even need to use the management reserve. It's just there in case if anything happens that is not known, unknown. So that is the essence of management reserve. Now, for instance, Nigeria is not so much of a prone earthquake environment, and maybe a project is ongoing and then an earthquake occurs. All right, it's an unknown because we don't know, we can't plan for it because we know in Nigeria it doesn't happen, but then it just happens. The management reserve will take care of that. Yes, the management reserve will take care of that. So that is the essence. So by the time you add all this together, the cost baseline is the final cost that has been agreed by everyone. But the cost baseline does not include the management reserve. Now, in the question, in your PMP exam, most times they're going to confuse you with this. They want you to know if the cost baseline is the same thing as the project budgets. It is not the same thing. Then they want to find out the difference between the cost baseline and the project budget. The difference between the cost baseline and project budget is simply your management reserve. And the only time the project manager can use it, if the project manager must use the management reserve, he will need to write to the management. He will need to get approval from the management with reasons, obvious reasons, convincing reasons, before he can actually use the management reserve. Yes. But in the case of the contingency reserve, he doesn't need to write that because it's already part of the project, but he will have to account for it. All right. He will have to give a practicable and convincing account of why he used the contingency reserve. So you need to know the difference between the contingency reserve and the management reserve. The contingency reserve is for the known unknowns in the project. Then the management reserve is for the unknown unknowns in the project. I will not drag this further. I believe this is clearly understandable enough. Yes. So now this takes us to the project cost control. Having made our project, budgets, we need to control the costs. We can't just go back home now. Let me go back and sit down. I'm done planning my costs, and I know everything is going to work out well. No, sir, it doesn't work that way. You need to be in charge as well. You need to control the process. All right. Okay. This involves monitoring and controlling costs, and it's crucial to prevent budget overruns. Sometimes, you discover that somebody tells you that the budget is not enough. All right. This could be due to mismanagement, due to a whole lot of factors in the project. That is why you have to, control your costs. And then you have to carry out a variance analysis. And variance analysis compares actual cost with the budget cost, allowing for corrective action to be taken if necessary. And that is why I always advise that at the very close interval in the project, you need to do an evaluation to make sure that your project is going in line, is in clear alignment with the plan and projections you've made. And then change control processes, ensure that any scope changes are assessed for their impact on the project. And also, if you have been following our lesson, I told you that in the predictive project management, methodology, we don't just make a change anyhow, because we have a baseline, we have a cost that has been defined, we have a scope that has been defined, we have a schedule that has been defined. So if the change you're trying to raise is going to affect all these baselines, then we can't just accept this, except if it's very necessary, or if it's an indispensable change that you're bringing up on the table. So that's just it. So the controlling process, in the controlling process, you have to monitor, you have to compare, you have to analyze, and then you take action. That is the control process. You have to monitor the actual data from, executing, all right? Monitor the action, the work that is going on, the progress daily. Let them give you, a daily work performance report from the sites. You want to tell the concrete section to give you a daily work performance report. You want to tell the IT section to give you a daily work performance report. Then by the time you're collecting that, you're going to check the time of execution. You're going to check the cost of execution. Then you're going to go back to your plan and find out if what they have done is in line with the projections you've made. If it's not, you're going to call back the head of the department. You're going to have a round table seated and figure out how that can be sorted out and find out what the problem is. So it's going to be a very close supervision. Monitor your project. Compare actual versus planned. Like I earlier said, then you analyze causes of variance. You need to find out there are variations in your project. Find out what are the causes. Could it be due to mismanagement? Could it be due to theft cases in your project? Could it be due to the fact that the plan was not properly made? Or could it be due to market factors, increase or increase beyond expectation of material cost in the market? So you have to look at all this and figure out a way to solve these problems. Then you take the action, corrective action. You don't find out problems or discover issues and just hold your hands and say, okay, now we have discovered issues. No, you have to carry out corrective action. Then also, for us to be able to do all that, to evaluate, to check, to do all that, we have a method we call the end value management. The end value management. So the EVM integrates cost. It integrates three basic factors: the cost, the schedule, and the scope performances. The cost, you want to know if the performance of the project is in alignment with the cost projection. You want to make sure that the schedule performance, that means the timeline for the project, is actually in line with the projections you have made. You want to make sure that you are working in line within the scope of the project. You have actually a kind of plan and agreed. It has been agreed by all stakeholders, signed by all stakeholders. And you say, okay, this road is going to be a 100 meters road, nothing more, nothing less, just going to be that. Okay, so that is it integrates all this. Then it provides a comprehensive view of project progress and performance through metrics such as the planned value. You look at the planned value, you look at your end value, and then the actual cost. All right, so these are the EVM actually helps us to plan out all that. Like the graph we have here, the graph we have here now is a very good example of the EVM. All right, so the blue line you're seeing there is the planned value. All right, you can see the blue line dotted is the planned value, and then in this table we have the cost is a graph of the cost against the time, or you can say the graph of the cost against the schedule, because you're talking about what will cost you, and then the schedule, the timeline for the execution of the project. So that's the graph we have here. Now the blue line is the plan you have made, the planned value. Then the green and the red line is actually the performance check on the project. So the EV there is the end value, okay, and the AC there is the actual cost. Okay, the actual cost, meaning what it's actually costing you. Now you're going to look at the trend in this movement, and you're going to see if it's actually increasing or it's dropping. So looking at this, you can see that the actual cost was actually high at the beginning of the project. It was higher than expected at the beginning of the project, and then the end value is also higher than expected at the beginning of the project. But then along the line, within the 6th week, okay, there's actually a drop. At the 6th week, there's actually a drop for the end value. Then the 5th week, there's also a drop for the actual cost. Okay, so you can see the trend. Now there's going to be a margin. You want to make sure that it's not beyond expected, it's not below expectation. So you have to put this into consideration. Now the end value analysis, this table gives you a very clear example of the end value analysis. Now by my left side here, you have A, B, C, D. The A, B, C, D you're seeing, they're actually activities. All right, these are activities. Activity A, activity B, activity C, activity D, and activity E. Then also you have the budget at completion. For activity A, budget at completion simply means this is what I've budgeted for this project and it will take me to the completion of the project. That's the meaning. And activity A, you have budgeted $1,000. It's going to take you $1,000 for you to accomplish the the project. So now, if you look at all this, you can see where this project has been broken down into, okay, you can call this work packages, have been broken down into different work packages. Okay, let's call it A, B, C, D. And these are the budgets for these work packages. Then underneath, you can see the total contract sum, which is $8,500. So this is how we actually plan for our project. Now we have planned. The first one is going to take us $1,000. The second one is going to take us $500. We say the third is going to take us $2,000, just like that. Okay, so now we have the planned value. All right, the planned value. We have the budget at completion. We have the planned value. All right, then we have the actual cost. Okay, the actual cost, which is what the project is actually costing us now. Okay, so the actual cost, the planned value is $1,000 US dollar. The actual cost in the project over the period, all right, over the so-called period, though the period is not defined here, but over the period, it's costing us $1,200, which is above budget. And the end value, all right, the end value as at that time is $1,000. The end value is what you've actually achieved based on the plan you have made. Now, it simply means that you have achieved a project, or what you have done in the project. It means that this project has not been completed yet. And then the end value so far, you have done a work of $1,000, meaning that, and the budget is $1,000. Okay, you have actually come to the point of the end value, which is you have actually executed what was planned. But then the costs, what it costs you to kind of carry out that, to come to that point of the project, is beyond what is expected. Now, if you look at the cost variance, you're going to see that you are a kind of over budget by $200 US dollars. It's just a way to a kind of evaluate. So if you're doing this and not checking in between points in the project, you will discover that at the end of the project, you will not be able to meet up with your projection. So that is why it's necessary for you to break your project into intervals, possibly a very close interval, and then you do this check every day for your project. And then by the time you do it for your project, then it will give you an idea. It will help you to kind of tackle issues in the project on time instead of waiting till the end of the project. I believe I'm making sense, yes. So the same thing applies also. You can see all that. We have the budget for activity B. We can see 500 is the budget at completion. Planned value is $500. Actual cost, that is below the budget, $400 US, $400 US, right? Okay, so now the schedule variance now. The schedule variance is the performance now. Sorry, please. The schedule variance is 100, all right, which is minus $100. Okay, the cost variance is 0, meaning that your cost is performing well. All right, you're performing well in your cost, but in your schedule, you are behind schedule. You're not doing well, meaning that you're not doing well in your schedule. All right, you're spending below the expected you're spending above the expected in your schedule because you have it in red, meaning it's a minus there. All right, so that is just it. So the same thing happens across the table for other activities as well. You can pick them one after the other and you look at them. Activity D, here you have your budget at completion to be $4,000. Then you have the planned value to be $2,000. Then actual cost is $2,200. All right. Then your end value at that point is $2,500. Then schedule variance is $500. Then the cost variance is $300. All right, $300. So when you go back to your planned value, which is $2,000, then the actual cost is $2,200. All right, it's telling you here that the $2,000 in the actual cost, you're spending $200 over the planned value. All right, then the end value is actually $2,500. $2,500 is what you have actually worked for, what you've earned so far. But then you're spending, the actual cost is below what you have worked It means what? That, for the cost, all right? For the cost, you are behind the cost, plan for the cost. You're behind the plan for the cost, all right? For the schedule, you can see, because the schedule relates to the end value, please. For the schedule, you relate it back to the end value. The schedule variance is $500. The cost variance is $300. So the same thing applies to every other, activity there. So you can actually add this up, plus minus, you get the project performance. So this method is called the end value analysis. Yes, it helps you to actually know your project performance. So we have some questions down there. Yes. So also we have best practices for effective project cost. The best practices for effective project cost management. Now, what are the best practices? What do we need to do to be able to carry out our project effectively? All right. The first thing is what? Thorough planning. You have to spend time to make your plan. All right. Begin with a well-defined project scope to avoid scope creep. Already I told you what scope creep means. And then develop a comprehensive work radar structure to ensure all tasks are accounted for. Then the next thing is accurate estimation. Okay, use historical data, expert judgment, and industry benchmark for accurate cost estimation. Okay, so you can make reference to historical data. You can talk to experts, because we have subject matter experts. You can talk to them, all right, and find out a little or more about the issue at hand in respect to your project planning. Then also an industry benchmarks. You have to look at the industry standards to know what is obtainable today in the industry. It's very important for you. And this will help you for accurate cost estimation. Then consider potential risk and uncertainties when estimating costs. We talked about risk management, and we talked about contingencies. So when we talk about risk, consideration of risk, we're talking about project contingencies. Yes. Then also continuous monitoring. Monitor your project continuously. I think I've talked about this over and over in this video. Regularly track and compare actual cost to the budget using EVM techniques. Address any deviation promptly to prevent cost overruns. If you can do this within the shortest intervals in your project, it's advisable, because it will help you to discover lapses in your project and tackle them in time. And also change management. It's very important. Implement a robust change control process to assess and approve scope changes before they impact the project. Communicate changes clearly to stakeholders. Now, stakeholder engagement is very important. Involve key stakeholders in cost management discussion to ensure alignment with expectations. Then address concerns and provide transparent updates on cost performance. If there are updates, please provide and let them know. Okay, you have to, as much as possible, engage your stakeholders. Let them be in the picture so that you can have acceptance, all right, at the end, so that you can also align with their expectations. Then technology utilization. You have to leverage project management softwares and tools to streamline cost and tracking reporting. Cost tracking and reporting. So now there are so many softwares today. All right, you don't need to sit down and it doesn't have to be just manual process of writing and just overstressing yourself. There are so many softwares today. We have the project, we have the Jira software, we have the MS project, we have a lot of projects and softwares today you can actually leverage on to make your work very easy and then make your work very effective and efficient as well. Then automation can enhance accuracy and efficiency in cost management process. All right, so a lot of things can be automated in your projects, and that will enhance efficiency. So that's just it. The benefit of effective project cost management: budget adherence. But it helps you to be in line or work in line or in alignment with your budget. Resource allocation. Resources are allocated efficiently, ensuring optimal utilization and preventing bottlenecks. Yes, you are able to allocate your resources efficiently. All right. Then risk management. Most times, I notice this thing with inexperienced project managers. Most times you want to allocate, workers for your project, and you don't have any guiding principle at hand, and you don't have anything to guide you. You just go ahead, without any calculation, without any consideration, and possibly it could be that the job at hand will just require you to might just require just two, laborers or two workmen to carry out or to execute. And then because you don't know the principles, you just go ahead and just push in 5 people. For instance, just push in 5 people, and then that will be more cost in the project. So you need to properly evaluate the work at hand and know what it will take you. And also time, you have to look at time as well. You allocate 5 people into a work that needs to be done by 2 people within 2 days, and you overstretch it within the next 3 days. That's a waste of resources, a waste of money. So resource allocation is one benefit. Then risk mitigation is another benefit. Proactive cost control identifies potential problems early, allowing for timely corrective action. There's stakeholder confidence. All right, transparent cost management instills confidence in stakeholders and sponsors. By the time you carry your stakeholders along in your project and your plans, it makes it very easy, so very easy for you. Then project success as well. Project success, successful cost management contributes to overall project success and organizational growth. Yes. So if you can, successfully plan and manage for your costs, definitely there's going to be success in your project. Now, conclusively, project cost management is not just about numbers. It's about prudent allocation, tracking, and control of resources to ensure project success. So by adhering to the key processes and best practices outlined in this presentation, organizations can mitigate financial risk. They can maintain, stakeholder satisfaction, and also they can achieve project objectives within the allocated budget. It's possible. A lot of people will tell you today that it's not possible for you to achieve, but it's possible with proper planning and high-level commitment, all right, and control. It's very possible. Yes. So this brings us to the end of the class today. It's been nice having you around, and once again, my name is Uchenna Michael Abali. This is Project Management Knowledge Arena. Yes. In my next video, we're going to be looking at the next topic. Yes. So please, I want you to stay tuned in this channel. If you have not subscribed, please, this is the right time for you to do that. You can just subscribe, hit the like button, and then also you have a comment or anything you want to say, you can just drop it in the comment box and I will attend to you immediately. Thank you very much, and see you in the next lesson. It's been nice having you. Thank you.